Okay, we have a review for the unit test on units 1 and 2, that's equalities and inequalities. So I'm going to try to work it page by page. First question here, solve. Our first step to solving anything is to set it equal to, and your answer would be 0. So 2x cubed plus 5x squared minus 2x minus 5 equals 0. 4 terms, the only method we ever learned for factoring this was grouping. So look at the first 2 elements and I can factor out an x squared, and then I'm left with 2x plus 5. Whatever that sign is, keep it, that's a minus sign, and they're going to group this as 2x plus 5 equals 0. Keep in mind that with the minus sign, that's minus 2x, and then minus a positive 5, that's minus 5. So everything is good. Now I look at what I have that's grouped that can factor out the 2x plus 5. So I'm left with x squared minus 1 times 2x plus 5 equals 0. Now the x squared minus 1, that's the difference of 2 squares. So this is x minus 1, x plus 1, 2x plus 5 equals 0. Set each of those factors equal to 0. X minus 1 equals 0 means that x equals 1. X plus 1 equals 0 means that x equals minus 1. 2x plus 5 equals 0 means that x equals a negative 5 halves. Those are the 3 solutions. Number 2, solve it. First step, set it equal to 0. So 6x squared minus 19x minus 17 plus 10 equals 0. 6x squared minus 19x minus 7 equals 0. Now, if this can be solved, I need to figure out 2 numbers that multiply to give me a negative 42 and add to give me a negative 19. Okay, and so the factors of 42 are 1 and 42, 2 and 21. That's going to be it. So 2 and 21 with a negative in front of the 21. Add those, you get negative 19. Multiply those, you get negative 42. So I'm going to rewrite this equation as 6x squared plus 2x minus 21x minus 7 equals 0. 4 terms, only method I know to do is grouping. So I'll factor a 2x out of the first 2 terms, and I get 3x plus 1 minus, and then I can factor out, that would be a negative 3 from the last 2 terms, and I would get, I factor out a negative 7 from those terms. So factor out a negative 7, and I get 3x plus 1 equals 0. So my factorization is 2x minus 7 times 3x plus 1 equals 0. Set each of those equal to 0. 2x minus 7 equals 0. That means 2x equals 7, or x equals 7 halves. 3x plus 1 equals 0. 3x equals minus 1. X equals minus 1/3. Those are my 2 solutions. Problem number 3, solve this one. You should recognize we only have one factoring method that we can apply for something with 2 numbers and a negative in between. That's the difference of 2 squares. So the square root of 9x squared, that's going to be 3x. Square root of 4 is 2, so 3x minus 2. 3x plus 2 equals 0. Set each of those equal to 0. When 3x minus 2 equals 0, x equals 2/3. And when 3x plus 2 equals 0, x equals minus 2/3. So those are my solutions, 2/3 and minus 2/3. Number 4, solving this is a trinomial with a 1 in front of the x squared. So if this is factorable, I need to find two numbers that multiply to give me a negative 21 and add to give me a negative 4. Okay, it's either 1 or 21, 3 and 7. It's going to be 3 and 7 with a negative in front of the 7. Those numbers are multiplied to negative 21 and add to negative 4. So I can go straight to my solution. This is x plus 3, x minus 7 equals 0. So x is equal to negative 3 or positive 7. So note there that I had a 1 in front of the x squared. That meant I didn't have to do the factor by grouping. Once I got the two numbers that satisfy the multiplication addition, I could go straight to my answer. So let's look at the next one. What are the domain restrictions? You get your domain restrictions on a rational by looking at the denominator. The denominator cannot be equal to 0. So x plus 11 cannot be equal to 0. That means that x cannot be negative 11. Okay, that's my restriction. Now, to solve for x, I need to multiply everything by the denominator. So I get negative 30 over x plus 11 times x plus 11 equal x times x plus 11. I multiply both sides of that equation by x plus 11. That allows me to cancel this. So I get negative 30 is equal to x squared plus 11x. If I add 30 to both sides, I get 0 is equal to x squared plus 11x plus 30. So you're going to have to keep this skill handy, how to factor trinomials. So I need two numbers that multiply to give me a 30 and add to give me an 11. So those numbers are 6 and 5. They multiply to 30 and they add to 11. So that means I can write this as x plus 6, x plus 5 equals 0. So x is equal to negative 6 or negative 5. I want to be sure those do not contradict my exclusion. My exclusion was x could not be negative 11. These do not contradict, so we're good to go.